Kia ora, it's another week of pretty windy weather across those inland parts of the South Island. We are going to get a bit of a break on Wednesday, but by the end of the week, more of those northwesters. Still some pretty high temperatures though to watch out for parts of the North Island. Let's start with today though. You can see down towards the south we have got this more active weather. As we head through the rest of Monday, we'll find that wet weather moves up the western coast of the South Island and stronger winds up that eastern side as a severe weather warning for some strong winds through the Canterbury High Country for this afternoon from about 4 p.m. to about midnight on Monday, with gusts around 120 kilometres an hour in the most exposed areas. We'll also find some stronger winds through the likes of Cook Strait. You can see them streaming across in towards Wairarapa as well. Not a bad afternoon across the top of the country, but we'll find as we head through towards Tuesday that wet weather moves northwards. So a wet start today in places like Taranaki, Wellington, even up in towards Auckland. I think a bit of rainfall through there. It does clear away, and then we'll find as we head through in towards the end of the day on Tuesday and in towards Wednesday, higher pressure becomes the more dominant feature of the weather. It's short-lived, but it does mean Wednesday is pretty much the better day of the week. Generally drier, lighter winds, still some cloud and showers on those western coasts of the South Island, but generally probably the better day of the week for most of us as we head through this week. You can see up towards the north and the west there, another patch of wet weather, just a developing feature that runs through towards the likes of Northland and Auckland by the end of the day on Thursday. But again, for many of us on Thursday, particularly for, say, that eastern side of the North Island down through Wellington, parts of Canterbury, it's a pretty decent looking story. Winds picking back up again, though, for the Canterbury High Country. These northwesterlies, classic this time of year, but really giving that oomph to the winds and pushing that rainfall in towards the headwaters of Otago and Canterbury as well. So something to watch out for through there. The other thing we're watching out for, that wet weather moving up towards the top of the South Island, brings those stronger winds once again in towards Wellington, Wairarapa, through Manawatu, particularly through the gorge there, and also up in towards parts of Hawke's Bay, those southern parts of Hawke's Bay, seeing those northwesters come through. That rainfall doesn't make its way too far north during Friday, but what we will find though is the influence of that warmth being dragged in from the north and the west, and our temperatures quite widely on Friday up above 20 degrees Celsius, perhaps even nudging close to 28, 29 for parts of Hawke's Bay. So it really is going to be something to watch out for. For most of us though, we'll find it's a real east-west split, with most of our wet weather on those western facing coasts, so through parts of Fiordland, Southland, and for the North Island up in towards, say, the Aotearoa range, we've got a heavy rain watch in towards the early hours of the morning on Tuesday. Parts of Taranaki, particularly about the Monga, that western coast up in towards the central plateau. Not much rain even makes its way across in towards the east. We'll find some, but generally the further east you are, the drier it'll be. For the South Island, like I was saying, places like Fiordland, Westland, up in towards the ranges through there, they'll catch most of the rainfall. But with the rain being driven in on those northwesterly winds, they will push that rain over the tops of the Southern Alps, spilling across in towards the headwaters of Otago and up in towards parts of Canterbury as well. So there's actually some severe weather watches and warnings for that spine of the Southern Alps as we head through in towards the end of the day today and perhaps even towards the early hours of the morning tomorrow. And I think perhaps for Thursday, Friday, it could be a bit of a deja vu moment with more of the same again, with stronger winds through the Canterbury High Country and wet weather on that western facing coast. One of the other things we're watching out for is our temperatures. Really up and down this week. As we go through to daytime, we'll find the rain moving away, cooler air back in behind it, might find some snow over those higher mountain passes. But watch as we head through towards the end of the week. The developing system out towards the Tasman Sea drags that warmth in from Australia, from across the south, the Tasman Sea, and by the time we head through towards Friday, you can see those oranges and yellows across the country, an indication of much warmer air over us. And with northwesterly winds, we find they give that boost to our temperatures on this eastern coast as they come down over the mountainside. So places like Hawke's Bay, perhaps a place like Hastings on Friday, 28 degrees Celsius, very warm temperature for many of us. And as we head through in towards October, it's not unheard of, but it's definitely been a while since we've seen those. I think for all of us though, by the end of the week, it's a warm one. And it's worth saying as well, not just warm by day, but we'll keep that warmth through the night time as well. So places like Napier, around 17, 18 degrees Celsius, your nighttime lows as we head in towards Saturday. On in towards next week, well, we keep hold of this rather volatile system with more of those northwesters coming through the weekend and even in towards the start of next week. I don't think it's really until we get to around about, well, probably Tuesday, Wednesday, we start to find something a bit more settled, that higher pressure there. But you can see even through Tuesday, we've got this low pressure off towards the west of us. It takes its time to clear away. I think there will be a bit of an improvement later on in the week. But generally, it's still very much springtime. We've still got more of those northwesters to come. Our temperatures up and down this week. We've got snow in the forecast some days. We've got higher temperatures as we head towards the end of the week. And we've got more of those windy and wet spells of weather to come through as well. So keep an eye on those severe weather watches and warnings. You can find all of that information over at MetService.